Hey guys and gals and everybody else, my name is Cadence, and last week I attempted to beat Super Mario Galaxy without touching the color red. It failed, so I went looking for other colors that you don't have to touch. My first thought was purple, which, yeah, my short-term memory is doing great. How about you? If you have any ideas for colors for me to avoid, put them in the comments. Just keep this list in mind. You know what isn't a color though? Water. Water is an element. That makes the rules for this run much simpler. Don't touch water. Here are some examples of water in case you forgot what water looks like. If I touch water in a mission, I'll immediately be quitting to the observatory. Swimming isn't allowed. Particles don't count, but it really doesn't matter because most water particles only come from water. The only exceptions I can think of are the ones that come from losing a power-up upon either damage or collecting a star. Ray surfing isn't allowed. I know that some people will say, "Oh, Mario isn't touching the water, only the ray is in the water." But guys, really? Really? Ice doesn't count, but these ice hexagons that Ice Mario makes when touching water sometimes count. Trust me, we'll get to that. I'm not allowing the garden because it makes things more interesting. Any and all glitches and skips are allowed. I know that's a bit wordier than last time, but what counts as water is a lot less subjective than what counts as a certain color. This is a bit more of a routing challenge than the last one, therefore it will be structured a bit differently as well. Each dome will be addressed, but only problematic missions will be addressed at length. We'll also be addressing all the missions that are unlocked later as well. So for example, if there's a Luigi mission in the terrace, we're going to acknowledge that at the same time as we do the other missions in Good Egg. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. Can you beat Super Mario Galaxy without touching water? By select time, we're picking Toad because he doesn't deserve water. I heard Peach's cake tends to be on the dry side, but that works in our favor here. Cutscene. Don't jump off the bridge, nothing else to talk about here. Chasing the bunny isn't difficult, I'm only showing this clip to show I've grown as a person. Don't long jump this way or risk landing in this water and being very surprised. No more water in this mission. Terrace time, here's a list of the mission. Removing every mission with no water whatsoever leaves these. Loop-de-loop is straight up impossible, so that removes it from our route right away. Good Egg 3's water doesn't get in the way, though it is worth remembering in a full game run. Same for the Honeyhive Cosmic Race and the Luigi Star. That leaves these three. Let's talk about them. For Honeyhive 1, we could just do Honeyhive skip, but I couldn't be bothered, and the alternate route is more interesting. On the first planet, you would need to do a pretty precise jump and spin to grab this coin to spawn a bee mushroom, but you don't need it, so that was pretty unnecessary. This next planet has lots of water, but with careful platforming it can be beaten no problem. This tall planet has water up top, but you're walking on the queen for the majority of your time up here, and you can easily fly over this water here. You can't lose your power up leading up to the star, so when you touch the star there are these arguably water-like particles coming off of you. For Honeyhive 2, we start off with a modified version of Honeyhive Skip, where we run straight up the slope, take a route that ounces avoid the water here, and then ignore the trees up here. If you don't know what I mean by Honeyhive Skip, there's a list of links in the description with explanations of the trick. They're all timestamps, so you don't even have to sit through the entire video to see them. Anyway, that's all the water in this entire level. I just want to show you this footage for a second. Feels good. Honeyhive 3 is pretty self-explanatory except for grabbing the star, but since we're still a bee, flying is always an option. With the terrace complete, it's time for... Go back! This is not a drill! It's a drill. You don't start on any water, and we have access to this pole star, so we're okay. Here's the star list. Surprisingly, none of these missions have any water in them at all, so other than the dome itself, this is a pretty waterless section. I guess we really did overreact in the beginning here. That means it's time for the kitchen. Here's the list narrowed down in the same way as we did in the terrace. I wanted to talk about beach, oh fuck! No. We know better. If we jump up onto this palm tree, we can land a triple jump here, then land another triple jump to get onto the platform with the star without touching water. I left both stars a buoy base in only because I wanted to make it clear that I really wanted to get either of these stars without touching water, but it really definitely isn't possible. This is the list for the bedroom dome. So, Freeze Flame Galaxy is in a unique position. The ice here doesn't count as water, but these ice hexagons do because you need to touch the water to make them, but sometimes they don't count because they also form when you touch lava, which is definitely not what I would call water. Anyway, now for Baron Burr, sir, we need to take a bit of a weird path to get to the peak itself. Once we get to the main planet, we need to long jump across here and wall jump to get up here. Get the coin, sling star, do a skating long jump across to here, backflip, spin, wall jump, spin, sling star, break this crystal, backflip into a slope glitch with an awkward camera change right up until the cutscene with an obvious continuity error. Now go over to this barricade and wait for Mr. Wait For It to finish challenging you to a duel. Fire back with a backflip right on the barricade, then backflip and spin onto this platform to bash his head in. Damn, it's good to be back. Freeze Flame Flea, aka Hot Cold, Freeze Flame Free, Freeze Flame Free, Freeze Flame Flee, In Hot and Cold Collide, there is a pretty tight section with the Fire Flower, and any mistake means starting the mission from the beginning. Other than that, the hex things here are illegal because it's all from lava. Time for the engine room, and as it turns out, we currently have 54 stars, which means we only need to get 6 stars to unlock the final level. We don't need to go into any questionable missions at all. For this reason, this list is narrowed down first to all the possible missions, then to missions I chose to complete while getting footed. It's still a bit tight, as you can only omit 2 missions. The route I picked was based entirely sequentially, ending off with a rematch of King Caliente, but depending on your skill with the bee mushroom, I'd recommend taking Sand Spiral instead of Gold Leaf due to how tedious it is. We've made it this far into the game, and there's only a little more left to go. But while I've got you here, I've got a favor to ask you. If you like the video, chances are you'll like my other content as well. I plan to release way more of this type of stuff, especially considering the upcoming release of this game's remaster. It helps out the channel a lot, and I've got the semi-unrealistic goal of hitting 50 subscribers by 2021. Anyway, enough of the sellout talk, time for the final mission. There's only a small bit of water here, and I bet someone argued that to be lava anyway, so the final level's 3. I kinda don't know what to say. The last challenge barely made it out of Good Egg, and this one sees the credits with 2 stars to spare. It's not much, but it's a bit of routing freedom that definitely wasn't present previously. We do have an answer though. Yes, it is possible to beat Super Mario Galaxy without touching water. I'd love to try and redo this challenge, but I probably won't bother making a video on it considering there are only 2 required skips that use exploits and we have 2 free stars. That is, if they even patch those glitches. If I do, I'll most likely be doing it for the upped resolution alone. Well, I've taken up too much of your time and I've gotta go. I'll see you next week. I've been KSReal2401 signing out. Bye-bye!